Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to do a soft-spoken narration of a story written by Gulzar known as The Rain. The rain was unrelenting. It had poured night and day continuously for 5 days in a row, and Damu had been drinking relentlessly day and night all through those 5 days, competing with the downpour. Neither would the rain let up, nor would Damu let go. The steadfast rain and stubborn Damu, drunk both. Damu had always been like this. When he picked up the bottle, he had to completely take to it. His drinking bout stretched into days, going on for 20, sometimes 30. He would drink all through the day and right through the night. When his wife stopped Laksha from supplying him more, Damu would conjure up a bottle from anywhere, from under the mattress, from inside the container in the kitchen, even from the rafters on the roof. He had an insatiable capacity to drink, and he was happy when he was drinking. He was never the man you would find him in a drunken ball. In this, Damu was quite unlike the others. And when he gave up the hooch, he really gave it up. He wouldn't touch the devil for 3 or 4 months at a stretch, sometimes even for a full 6 months. When he was on the wagon, there wasn't another man like him in the basti. There was no better father than him, no better husband, no better worker. But all that was in another season. Seasons change. This monsoon, he had started drinking with the very first showers. And this year it wasn't raining, it was pouring. Such a downpour had not been seen in the last 100 years. The city braved the first day of the onslaught. Local train services were suspended, then resumed, and then suspended again. The second day took its toll. Trucks were unable to enter the city. They started grinding to a halt on the highways. The city was flooding. The supply of fresh vegetables dried up. Prices shot up like the ears of a rabbit. The rain kept falling in sheets, steadily, unfalteringly, and Damu kept drinking, matching the intensity of the rain. By the third day, the signs of dangers were loud and clear. Rain and more rain, accompanied by strong winds. The winds drove the sheets of rain into the lane, and it quickly started filling up. Half the household lay strewn outside Damu's house in the lane. His wife started dragging it all into the kholi, their one-room tenant. The kholi had the wingspan of a sparrow. It could hardly accommodate Damu, his wife Shobha, and their daughter Kishni, who was to be married off the next month. When the wife pulled in the family goat as well, Damu lost it. Abe, what's the need to get this behin inside? What am I supposed to do? Let it soak in the rain? Till when? Look at the bloody thick coat she has. She's not going to wilt in 2 hours. You say 2 hours, but it's been 2 days. Today's the lane's flooded, even the drain's spilling over. I think this accursed rain is going to sweep Punya's shanty away. Damu felt silent. He smacked a little salt off his right hand, picked up the glass, and guzzled half a glass of hooch. The booze scorched his innards, and he belched out a thick, filthy curse, directed this time at the maker of the hooch. The bastard! Salah has poured so much noshadar into the booze, it tastes more like battery acid. Shobha did not respond. She tied the goat in the corner and spoke to the Kishni instead. Get up, Betty. Pick up all the things from the floor and put them on the shelf. I'm afraid some water will seep in. This rain is not going to let up. It has started raining harder instead. She hadn't even finished speaking when a clamor rose in the streets. Look at that. That's Punya's shanty. It's gone. Shobha looked out of her door. Muqaddam's roof had collapsed and slid onto the rain. People ran across to hoist it up again, but there was no point. Instead of flowing in from the lane, the water was now filling in from the top. The sky was stubborn in its intent. Kishni wanted to run out, to help, but Shobha stopped her. You stay put. You're going to get married next month. I don't want you to break a limb. She muttered something more under her breath and hurried out of the house. Damu looked at his daughter. There were now only the 3 of them, Damu, Kishni, and the goat. Love for his daughter was spinning out of his bosom. He wanted to reach out to her, to strike up a conversation. Are there any onions in the house, Betty? Will you give me one? Sliced. Sprinkle some salt on it. Kishni began to slice an onion without a word, and Damu scooped up the bottle of booze from the window and filled his glass all over again. Pour me a glass of water too, from the mudki. Without saying anything, Kishni filled a mug with water and gave it to her father. Damu now had half a glass of booze topped to the brim with water. Kishni had walked back to her corner of room before Damu could extend his quivering hand over her head in blessing. The hand kept flapping in the air for a few orphan moments, quite like a bird in mid-flight, and then came down to roost. You know, worry, beti, I'll arrange your marriage with style. We'll give you 25,000 rupees kholi, another 25,000 rupees for clothes and jewelry, and also give your men 25,000 cash. Full 1 lakh I bring. We'll spend all on your marriage. 1 lakh. Too much, no? All right, 50,000 then. I'll get 50,000 for your marriage. He must have said this at least 25,000 times. This talk of 50,000 rupees. Every time Shobha would snub him. Where from? Where will you bring the money from? Bet on a race or do some dacoity or what? This was what Shobha told him every time, and he too, in every drunken stupor of his, would put his hand in blessing over his daughter's head in his own imitable style and repeat the same word. You know, worry, beti. Kishni put down the plate of sliced onions and salt and moved out of the Damu's sight. The flood water had by now started seeping into the house. The bucket in the kitchen was still ringing with raindrops trickling in from the leaking roof. The goat had been squatting on the floor. It now stood up on all fours. Shobha was not yet back. It had been quite some time. Kishni had braved the rain and ventured out to find her mother. She too had now been gone for over half an hour. Damu began to worry about their possessions. The first thing he secured was his liter of booze. He put it on a higher shelf. The other bottle was still safe, hidden inside a canister of dal in the kitchen. Then he filled a jug with water and kept it safely aside. After that, he hauled the 2 tin trunks up on the wooden plank that also doubled up as their bed. The third trunk proved too heavy for him. He hurt his feet trying to drag it up, so he let that be. The goat stood crouched in a corner in silent prayer. Damu found some of his puffed rice in a jar, filled some of it into his pocket, scooped some in his hand, and returned to where he had been sitting, and continued drinking and munching. The koli was now fast filling up with flood water. Now Shobha returned, but not Kishni. She had hitched her sari over her knees. She yelled, Listen, today no cooking possible at home. Malia's hotel is flooded, half filled with water. People are running for shelter to the garages on the upper side. He was drunk, but he remembered. What about Mukaddam? His house, flooded or no? Poor man, he's still at it, hauling his stuff upstairs to safety. Everybody's at it. Hira, Gopal, Suleiman, everybody. But what to do? Look after the young and the old or save the belongings? Shobha was picking up the flood stuff and keeping them aside safely, one by one. She had bought some vada pav for Damu. As she was giving it to him, she kept on the prattle. How many kids these people in our mohalla produce? At least 10 kids you'll find in every size. Thank God, we have only one. Damu was relieved to see his wife back. He shook the droplets of rain from his hair and said, If you could have held on to your pregnancies, here also would have been a long line of kids. Shobha glared at him. There is a God above? No, to save me. Here, eat it. Damu grabbed her wrist. Why? God's your relative or what? Let go of me. Shobha said in a mock irritation. Be ready to leave. Just look how fast the water is filling up. Shobha had propped up a chair on top of the 2 trunks. Damu quietly stood up and climbed atop the chair. This high your relative cannot come also. Forget the water. Be careful. Don't fall down. There won't be anybody here to pick you up. Why? Where are you going? To the roof of the garage. They need help. Even Kishni is there. When is she coming back? As soon as the rain lets up, we will all return. But this time round, nobody let up. Neither the rain nor Damu. The flood water in the lane kept surging. The drain metamorphosed into a river. Mukaddam's younger self fell into the water and was swept away. A few people ran to pull him out, but the current dragged the boy further away. A few people got wounded in the effort. Some people thought that the boy had got sucked into an open manhole above which the flood water had created a whirlpool. And then the electricity went. Or perhaps the government had shut off the power to stave off electrocution from short circuits. As the day began to wear off, the city began to drown in the darkness as well. The 3 garages on the upper side of the lane got filled with 6 feet of water. The cars, stripped of their engine for repair, were floating in the water like graves. There were a number of huge floor-to-ceiling cabinets in the garage. People threw out the stuff from the shelves closest to the ceiling and crawled into them. No one had any intention of stepping down till the rain abated. Those who could escape sought shelter on the roof of sturdier buildings, in hospital verandas, in school classrooms. Kishni was sitting lifelessly in a hospital veranda. Somebody had broken the news to her. They said Shobha was seen drowning into the floodwater. A few others said that she had been bitten by a snake. A number of serpents had been seen swimming in the deluge. While there was some daylight left, a couple of young men did venture to enter Damu's kholi, but they could not break in. The water now reached up to their necks. The goat hung in the water, legs up, in the doorway. It was long dead. The undercurrent near the wall was strong, and the window at the back was totally under water. Damu had somehow managed to pull the other table, on which Shobha kept their utensils, up on their bed. A few pots and pans were still floating in the water. Most had been swept away. The roar of the rain and the gurgle of the surging water threatened to split their eardrums. The young men called out for Damu, yelled his name till they were hoarse. But Damu, a bottle in one hand and a long wooden stick in the other, was busy trying to fish out a few floating tomatoes and cucumbers from the water. He was actually fishing, hooking them and then reeling them in, and he was laughing. He neither heard them call out to him, nor did he call out for help. Perhaps he had not even thought of seeking help. He was still above the water. He was still in the race. The bet was still in the play. Who would let up first, the rain or Damu? Well, I hope you enjoyed this narration. If you have any suggestions for me, then please do give me so. I apologize for any background noise that you may have heard. It's a busy time of the day, but I hope that this still relaxes you. Goodbye.